right. So good morning, and welcome to Open Door Center. Always it is a blessing and a privilege to be with you on a Sunday. I am grateful for all of you who got up and showed up this morning to support your spiritual selves. You know, anytime that we attend to the needs and the presence of our soul, our spirit, what happens is that everything else just has to follow that higher vibration and fall into perfection, fall into form in such easier ways. That's really what this law that we're going to talk about this morning is all about. I encourage you that if that has happened for you since you came to Open Door Center or found the Science of Mind message, to tell people about it. You're welcome to shout from the rooftop. I'll even help you get up there and join you. Because the reality of it is, we never know who needs to hear a message that there's hope, that there's potential in each passing moment. It's really a pretty significant thing these days, especially if you're prone to ever watching the news. So, but bring your friends, bring your family. I promise to try to behave. Try, she said. I don't know. There's always try and then there's do, right? We'll see. So this morning we continue with chapter 4 from Deepak Chopra's book, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. I know many of you are very familiar with this book. Is anyone reading along with us as we pursue this path this time around? Oh, you're leaving it to me, are you? That's nice. I appreciate it.
I'm reading a little bit. I got
Yeah.
missed, but yeah.
Frank said that he's hitting and missing, and that's great. When you're so moved, that's wonderful. I got the idea for looking at this book on Sunday mornings because Frank did a message probably about a month and a half ago or so from this book, and as soon as I saw it, I thought, there's an idea. If you want to share your ideas, well, I thought I had one of those green cards up here, but all around the sanctuary, Carol's holding them up, Frank's holding them up. We want your ideas about things to do on Sunday, what you think about the Sunday service, what you'd like to see going on here. Doesn't even have to have anything to do with Sundays. Perhaps there's a book that you would love for us to do a book study of. That one that Tom just read from sounds like a really great one. So, there's a lot of ideas there that you have, and we would love to know more about them. So that's the way that you get that message to us, or one of the ways. It's certainly not the only one. But so we continue with that book and with looking at the chapter 4, which is on the law of least effort. Deepak Chopra opens this chapter with an outstanding quote by Lao Tzu. He says, "An integral being knows without going, sees without looking," and this is my favorite part, accomplishes without doing. Okay, may I be the perfect accomplisher by doing nothing. Okay, and achieving everything. Right? Nature's intelligence. Think about nature. Functions with effortless ease and careless abandon. This is the principle of no resistance. I go out every day. We started with 4 tomato plants. Then someone gave us one, so we had 5. Then last year's crop birthed 5 more plants. So I now have, how many is that, 10? Yeah. Actually, maybe we birthed 6 because I think we have 11 tomato plants. Every day I go out and I look. And ones that didn't even look red yesterday have turned red. How does that happen? I'm like, how did you do that? I talk to them too. My neighbors probably take a step back. That's cool. I don't care. But when I think about all of this, the law of least effort, how things just simply show up, how they know intrinsically to happen. I think about that piece from Matthew 6. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They don't toil, nor do they spin. Some days I feel like all I do is toil and spin. I don't know about you guys. Least effort is expended when our actions, and thank you for Mary Ann, are motivated by love. This is because nature is held together by the very energies of love. When our actions are driven by love, there is no waste in the expulsion of our energies. Energy easily multiplies and accumulates whenever love is the perpetuating factor. This surplus energy that we gather and enjoy can be channeled into creating anything we want. I'm going to share you an example from my life about that in a few minutes. There's a story about Louise Hay. How many of you know Louise Hay? Louise Hay is probably 9/10 of the reason that I'm still on the planet, and she had a lot to do with me becoming a metaphysical teacher too. She talks in one of her messages about looking many, many years ago at the socially and medically dismal situation that was facing men. She was living in California. This was at the time when HIV and AIDS was just coming onto the forefront. And, medical testing had become available, and we were becoming aware of the, huge number of people, particularly gay men, that were afflicted with HIV and AIDS. She was just stricken by the pain and the suffering of so many people. And so she said one day to the universe, how can I help? What is it that I can do? As the story goes, since that time, she has never had a need for money. It has just shown up all the time, in every place, from places she had no idea, that it could come from. What became a little book that she typed up on her Selectric typewriter, made copies of, 250 copies on the church copier. And when she told the Science of Mind minister what she had done and how many copies she made, the comment back was, you will never sell 250 copies of that. So she and her mother sat at her kitchen table. They mailed out a copy to every metaphysical church in the country that they could get an address for. That enterprise, that kitchen table homespun business, is a multi-million-dollar endeavor today that publishes books, creates movies, and sends a metaphysical message of love all over this globe. Okay? Yeah. Because of love. Because love is and was the motivating metaphysical factor behind her actions. Deepak tells us in this story, in this chapter, that there are 3 components to the law of least effort: acceptance, responsibility, and one that's really peculiar, defenselessness. So we're going to look at each one piece by piece. Acceptance very simply refers to just accepting things as they are. People, situations, conditions, and events. Here we not only accept that things are the way they are and are as they should be, we take a step back and we go one deeper and we allow them to be that way. We understand that every single moment unfolds from everything prior to it. Everything results from what went before. And so that's fun. I'll say more about that in a moment. When we find ourselves struggling, how many of you have found yourself struggling against any given moment? Oh, even in the last 30 minutes, right? Yeah, okay. It may be needed that we gently remind ourselves, hey, I'm struggling against the entire freaking universe. Okay, have fun, Deepak makes a great point here in this part of the book. He says that when we are frustrated or unhappy with something, a person, a situation, whatever it is, it's also really important to recognize what's going on is about my feelings toward the situation. It isn't really about the situation or the person, okay, or the event. Our feelings are ours. They are not someone else's fault. I know it was a huge shift for me when some freak kicked the stool of lies out from under me, that lie that said someone had the power to make me mad. Okay? Actually, I think it was my ex-husband. He was well on his way to becoming my future ex-husband by the time this happened, I think. Because I said, you made me mad. And he said, I don't have the power to do that. That's always a choice. Okay? He's just been one of my best spiritual teachers. I love him so much. Okay? I really do. Okay? But we are always at that point of choice. Okay? And when we embody acceptance, we know it. It's not easy to live it, though. This segues quite well into the second component of the law of least effort, and that's responsibility. That same teacher told me change the word to respond ability. How good are we? How capable are we? It shouldn't be good, but how capable are we in a moment, any given moment, of responding to something? Okay? Yeah. Here we take responsibility for the situation that we find ourselves in, regardless of what it is. Responsibility means not blaming anyone or anything for the situation that we're experiencing. And we're all adults in here, right? Responsibility, in short, means not bitching. And that includes even at ourselves. It really does. It's a very easy mistake when we come into awareness of the concept that we have something to do with creating our experiences. It's very easy to have experiences we don't like and blame ourselves. Stop it. Okay? That's not what this is about. We don't hold ourselves hostage, nor do we take others as hostages. It requires an awareness and a choice toward a level of maturity that allows us to look past the immediate situation and let go of the desire to point a finger. You know what they say about pointing fingers. How many are pointed back at me? More. Yeah, more than the one I'm pointing out, right? Here we come to know that every situation is an opportunity to create something new. That every tyrant or tormentor is actually a teacher. We get it. That everything that wears the face of problem is truly an opportunity for our own spiritual unfoldment. Sorry for this next piece. Our political situation in this country and even in the state are great examples of this. We really have been given an outstanding opportunity to live our truth. We do this by claiming and knowing and refusing to bow to anything but a knowing that the very best for our country in this world is afoot. We simply refuse to go, they're doing enough of that, okay? Don't you think? I mean, we got a, a rampant, what's the term? Well, I won't use that term. Boatload, okay? Going on, I mean, everybody and their brother has 3 opinions about it, don't they? Well, including all of us. I mean, that's not to say we don't. We just refuse to live at that level, okay? We have been given in this an opportunity to speak our piece. I think somebody mentioned voting this week. Oh my, that was quite a little talk there, wasn't it, okay? For the situation, choosing the situation that is the wisest and the most giving for every soul on this planet. End of statement. I belong to this minister's listserv. You guys know this, most of you do. And so some minister posted this week, you want to talk about having an opinion, okay? She said, I'm going to talk about politics from the pulpit this Sunday. And I just thought, man, you're going to be out of a job real soon if you ain't careful. I did have a few opinions about it, trust me, okay? But then she posed this question, and I thought it was really amazing. She said, what would Ernest Holmes, the founder of this science of mind teaching, how would he vote if he was alive today and could vote in the November election? Well, I love it. You know, we have some sage people in this movement. I mean, they're incredible. And very quickly, one of our octogenarian ministers came back, and what he said was beautiful, and it was simple. He said, Ernest would always choose for that which facilitated the greatest level of peace and harmony for the greatest number of people. Okay? End, again, of statement. He was very clear on living peace from what religious science teaches, which was a book basically written by Ernest and others. Here we find this quote: everything in the universe exists for the harmonious good of every other part. The universe is forever uniting what is harmonious and diminishing that which is not. It is only the unessential that is vanishing, that the abiding, the good, may be made more clearly manifest. Ernest would claim that truth right up to death's door, okay? He would never back away from it. He would know that we have the capacity to see wholeness and peace and right relationship in every situation, everywhere. He would never walk away from that. He would also recognize, as we are recognizing in science, that reality, what we think is real, is really only our humanly focused interpretation. No matter what we look at through our own capacity to see. And always, that is, to some degree, partial. Deepak Chopra goes on to encourage us that when we are having a rough moment, we remind ourselves this moment is as it should be. We recognize that every moment, every experience, all of it serves not only our personal, but global spiritual evolution. That's easy to say. It really stinks when it comes to living it. At my day job, they've changed the way they pay us. We went from having 12 paydays a year to having 26. I didn't look at my bank account before I went to work Friday. Shortly after I got there, I was notified the payroll company made some mistakes. So when I looked, I found that my deposit was like $400 less than it freaking was supposed to be. At my day job, I work in a 2-story, it's actually an older house, okay, that we occupy. And one person lives in Clay County, so she wasn't there. One person's last day was actually Thursday, so she's gone. And my office mate had taken the day off. So I was the only one upstairs. That was nice, because I wasn't. Oh yeah, well, I just kind of let the universe have it. It did not feel as it should be. It wasn't even close. The third component of the law of least effort, damn it, is defenselessness. Okay? We get to live it, guys, at every level. We really do. That sounds like a strange thing. Defenselessness means that when we encounter a situation, we work to relinquish our need, and by the way, it's an ego need, to convince others of our way of thinking. We work to relinquish our need to be right. I love being right, okay? I think I like being right more than I like being happy someday. Anybody in here with me? I think it was Ken Wilber who actually penned that in one of his books. Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? Okay? Throughout the years, the ages, spiritual sages have modeled this for us. Many of you know the story of Nelson Mandela. He was imprisoned for many years. After he was released, he wrote down this quote about leaving prison. As I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew that if I didn't leave my bitterness and my hatred behind, I would still be in prison. You see, he knew that if he held on to his point of view, his rightness, so to speak, he would never be free. Even though I'm sure part of him had a stalwart conviction that they had done him wrong. I would. I think everybody would. Defenselessness means that we stop shaking the battle spear of our ego-based point of view. And we have one about everything. Think about the last time you walked into a strange bathroom and took the roll of toilet paper and turned it from rolling underneath to rolling over top. Point of view. Anyone? I mean, really, okay? We are saturated with this stuff, okay? Just hugely saturated. If we stop beating the drum of the energy of till death do us part, that we attach to every attitude and every opinion we have in life, miraculous things happen. We begin to create a little distance between us and the issue. Think about opinions for a minute. You know what they say. They're kind of like something we all have one of. Right? Mm-hmm. You got it. Okay. So do an experiment with me. First, I want you to just get in your mind something that you have a really significant opinion about. I mean, a really significant attitude. Oh, you can use the election if you want to, but that's easy, okay? That's easy, right? I mean, anybody can have an attitude about that. But pick something from your life, okay, from your experience that you just have a serious point of view about, okay? And you would defend it maybe to the death. Especially maybe something that even really gets your dander up, okay? It makes you mad to see this situation, okay? Because you know what's right. Well, we all do, okay? Now, do you have a good handle on that? You got an idea in your mind, you got a sense of the emotion beneath it and behind it, okay? Okay. Now think about this for a minute, and then I want you to say this to yourself. Very simple. Interesting point of view that I have this point of view. Can you look at your situation and say, interesting point of view that I have this point of view? Now feel it. Did anything happen? Say it again. You can say it out loud with me. Interesting point of view that I have this point of view. Interesting point of view that I have this point of view. For most people, if they will practice this between 3 and 10 times, by the end of that sequence, something major happens. And that is that some serious distance begins to be between us and that attitude that we were willing to champion to the death, right or wrong, okay? In fact, in some cases, the whole issue just evaporates. It goes away. This tool allows us to step away from whatever the issue is. It allows us to cease resisting and reacting, and rather to just back away and walk away from our potentially humongous reaction. There's a poem that was written by Portia Nelson that I think really embodies this. We have to recognize that sometimes our reactions become our addictions. One of the things we talked about in the placebo class is that our thoughts and our beliefs literally march through our gray matter, stamping their footprint, their impression through the brain and changing things chemically until those thoughts and those beliefs become literally an addictive pathway for us, okay? So you bring up something that we have an attitude like the church, okay? And many people I know come to Science of Mind because they have a huge attitude with the church or a church or, some kind of dogma or something that, that they have experienced or haven't experienced or whatever, okay? Or, another one is racism or abortion. I mean, you can pick any, one of a godzillion topics, okay? But what happens is that, literally we begin to change what we know about something by distancing it. So, we change that thought process. We literally get out of that addiction-driven cycle that we're moving through neurochemically. So here's this poem by Portia Nelson. I think it's really great. I know many of you have probably heard this before. It's been around. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost, and I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. How many of you have lived this one out loud for decades? I pretend I don't see it. I've fallen again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes me a long time to get out. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It is a habit. Did I say something about habits a minute ago? My eyes are open. I know where I am. I'm responsible. I get out immediately. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. I walk down another street. Okay? That's how we change that attitudinal stuff. Okay? That's one of those ways. This concept of interesting point of view is the tool that I chose to use to get past the payroll errors of Friday. Now, what I want to tell you was that it wasn't easy to do that. Okay? Thank you for laughing. I really feel supported. So, I really do. No, I do. So the first thing I did was I found Elvis on YouTube and played "You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog" real loud, okay, as loud as I could make my computer. Probably blew the speakers on the stupid piece of junk, okay? But, just because I'm like, maybe they'll hear it downstairs. I'm like, this is what I think about the whole situation. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. La, 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 la. Okay? And so I listened to that for about 3 times. And I even danced to it because I thought maybe if I jump up and down, they'll hear me upstairs and then she's throwing a fit, okay? And then I started doing interesting point of view that I would even give a big, whether my paycheck lands right or not. Interesting point of view that I have this point of view. Interesting point of view that I have this point of view. It took a long time. It took more than 10 times, to be honest, okay? You know, like, and I was like, is this working or not? Interesting point of view that I have this point of view. Is this working or not? Interesting point of view that I have this point of view. The strangest thing happened. Somebody came upstairs. In their hand was a copy of a paycheck stub, correcting the entire mistake. And fixing what they didn't fix, which I thought they would fix by this payroll, which they claimed they hadn't, and that was really what made me mad. All better. Yeah, in less than an hour. Okay. So now here's the question. From a co-creative standpoint, will we create faster from a place of clearer, greater clarity and greater consciousness, higher place of consciousness, if we run around, raise hell, live our resentment, react and resist, and freak out all over everything? Or if we choose to transcend all that trash and just know it's all working perfectly, okay? I can let go of my opinion. The universe has my back. Somebody said that to me this morning. Thank you very much. The universe has every one of our backs, okay? Spirit's got my back. We know that here, okay? Which point, which place am I going to create from? From a clearer, more complete area of consciousness, arena of consciousness? The second one, right? Yeah. Why is that? Because what we resist persists. When we grab hold of something with any powerful emotion, we pull it toward us, okay? We get a hold of it so deeply and tightly and completely when we have that level of attitude or opinion. And believe you me, I had an attitude and an opinion, okay? I had many opinions and a huge attitude for a while, okay? And I was able to let go of most of it, you know, in just a few minutes by letting go of it, okay? That's what Deepak is talking about when he talks about the law of least effort. He relates that when we let go of the need to be right, we gain access to tremendous amounts of energy that previously were just wasted. That is exactly what felt like it happened, okay, when I started pointing toward a solution rather than living the antithesis of that. When we have no point to defend, we commit to having no energy and fostering any kind of an argument. When we have no point to defend, we continue to stand in alignment with one rather than pushing against it. Anytime we push against something, we create a separation from the one. That's huge. Doing this also allows us to stand free. We get clear of our resentment, we get clear of our resistance and our attitude. And what happens is, there's a whole lot more of this right now moment that becomes ours to live. There's a whole lot less angst, so we have more joy, more peace, more capacity to truly be present. It's a lot more funner that way. The law of least effort also really aligns well with our Science of Mind teaching, because here we understand that all we ever have to do is be clear in our thinking insofar as what it is we wish to see manifest. We don't have to do the creating. I am not the creator, okay? All we have to do is do the knowing about the creating. Be clear from here. Our work is always in mind and in heart, okay? With our thoughts and our feelings. Because it is those thoughts and feelings and beliefs, whether they're conscious or whether they're not, that are going out into the world, being impacted upon by spiritual law and coming back to us as life. We embody the law of least effort through accepting life on life's terms. Just letting people be. instead of railing against them. We embody this law through taking responsibility by responding to ourselves, for ourselves, and not looking at others to fix anything going on in our world. That includes the political scene. We embody the law of least effort by simply releasing our desire to have others think the same way we do. When we focus on the ease and the grace that even nature embodies, ease and grace comes back to us. It is the offering of the universe as our gift coming back. We can use these tools we learn here at Open Door, to more fully live, and that's an action word in case you didn't know, to more fully live the law of least effort. Living the law of least effort is very simply walking down another street. Will you walk with me? I love you. Thank you.